You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi along with Marcy Persky. Frequently, our podcasts contain drama, but sometimes you just want to have a leisurely stroll while avoiding food poisoning at your county fair.
Frankie and Eve and I went to the Coconino County Fair. And I know that will make you laugh, but I've been going to the fair every year since I was like a little tiny kid.
I love fairs. I love that. I like the show chickens and the bunnies, and I love the county and the state F word as long as I don't have to broadcast live from a sweatbox there.
Yeah, we visit all the animals except for cows and pigs. Because even though Eve doesn't eat them, we know what's going to happen to them at the auction, and they are not pets.
Dairy cows?
No,
just no, says no. And the chickens, the show chickens, I love the show chickens. They're like a favorite thing.
Well, we looked at the show turkeys.
I don't think I've spent any time with show I can't even say it. Show turkeys.
And they actually had camels and llamas.
Huh.
Because there are a lot of, I don't know what they're called, llama ranches.
Well, they have those in Northern California where I used to live. People, the old hippies, they're like, what can we do with all this land? I know. We'll get an animal that hates everyone.
Yeah, I don't think there's any old hippies out here. I think that the rednecks drove them all off.
The rednecks have driven the hippies out of Northern Arizona. It's a sad state of affairs. Very sad.
But here's one thing that set this year apart. And yes, I took out my hearing aids because I knew that I would want to kill myself with all this noise, the moos and the nays and the clucks and the midway and all that kind of stuff.
So you thought you'd be smart and you took out your hearing aid.
And I got home, man, and oh boy. I mean, I wear hearing aids because I have tinnitus because I spent years going to concerts and I did not wear earplugs because I wanted to hear the music. And now I'm paying for it, me and Pete Townsend. And I got home and I wanted to have somebody stab me in the ear. The ringing was so loud.
Oh dear.
Oh, and I'm taking every kind of drug in the house. Here's some Tylenol. Here's some ibuprofen. Here's some of this. Here's some of that. And here's some sinus clear out stuff.
Yeah. What about your strawberry margarita mix? None of that.
Oh, I know. I couldn't take it on top of all those drugs.
I guess that's true. So you didn't just put your hearing aid back in to help you, or would that not have helped you?
It would have helped me, but they were dead by then. I could charge them. It was a mess. It was awful.
It sounds truly awful, but at least you got to pet some fun, cute little bunnies.
Yes, it was lovely. My pregnant child drank 64 ounces of lemonade.
Huh. That's a lot of lemonade.
Isn't it?
It seems like it, but she knows what she's doing, I guess.
And let's see, I ate a turkey leg that cost $20.
What? Oh.
Yeah. $20.
You have the worst luck. You go to Vegas and you end up with a $30 hamburger, and you go to the fair and you get a $20 turkey leg. And
I went to this particular place, though, because they were sticking a meat thermometer in them.
So you felt safe. Yeah,
yes.
You felt
as opposed to the cheap, here's a turkey leg and you go be sick for the next couple of days kind of.
I will say this for the Minnesota State F word, where I used to have to broadcast for 2 weeks. I thought I would kill myself. And the only way I got out of having to perform live my entire show every day at the Minnesota State F word was to come down with, the only time I've ever come down with, food poisoning. To be fair, the food poisoning, I'm virtually certain, had nothing to do with the state fair. It was the fact that I somehow got it in my head that what I wanted to eat was something healthy. And so on my way home from the state F word, I stopped and picked up sushi, which...
from a gas station?
No, from a high-end restaurant that did carry out because I was wiped. But
I'm
But
glad you don't eat gas station sushi.
no, I would never. But the idea of sushi in the Midwest, right there, you should think to yourself, huh, maybe not. But I didn't. And so the only time I've ever really had serious food poisoning, I was actually grateful while I was lying in my bathtub because it was the only place I felt safe where I could just hose myself down if I needed to. It was the only time I've ever had food
Aw.
poisoning. And I was actually, it sounds so weird, glad to have it. Really glad to have it. Yeah, I know the sense of wanting to be careful. And at the state F word in
Why
Wisconsin,
won't you say fair?
oh, it
Why is it F word?
trauma was it was a trauma.
Trauma.
Deeply traumatized.
Well,
It
but
was.
did you go to any county
I
F
do. We
words?
used to we used to go every year to the California State Fair. In fact, that was the first place we took
That's
our.
a state fair.
Yes, that was the first one. I went to the Alameda County Fair. That's where I adopted my first rabbit and
Ah,
and got a whole lot of plants. Here's some things. If you go on the very last day of the fair, nobody wants to take anything home with them. If you go at the very end of the very last day of the fair, you can walk into that garden pavilion and just go nuts, like pennies on the dollar, because nobody wants to haul that crap back. I got rose bushes. I got everything. And I ended up with a
but
rabbit too that some guy I like thought would please me, who was my companion for the next 10 years. The rabbit, not the guy. The guy lasted about a week.
well, Frankie bought me a big Detroit Lions tumbler from where all the guys yell at you inside the thing, here, come get our water heater, or here, I'm gonna dump this poopy looking stuff on the carpet and look at how good this sweeps it up.
I love
And that's the
those.
only
Somehow, though, I think if you bought every single one of those gimmicky cleaning tools at your county fair, you would still fall for the ones that you find online. I don't think you can help yourself.
that's true, but still. So we we, we bought fudge
Fudge
because
is
there's
good.
always like the fudge guy and he
Yeah,
makes it right there.
yeah, yeah.
And my big giant, so no one could walk away with it, Detroit Lions tumbler.
So you feel that having this giant Detroit Lions tumbler, which is an odd thing to come up with in the middle of Arizona,
Oh,
is very odd. I mean, what were they even doing? Were they just like coming
he had
back?
all different sports teams
Okay, all right. I was gonna
because
say odd choice for him to bring.
people from Arizona, a lot of them aren't born in Arizona,
As you have
so
pointed
they
out,
still
with a great
have
deal of
their
disapproval. Yes.
they still have their childhood sports teams. I have my lifelong Detroit Lions who are going to win this year, and I know you could care less, but this very big tumbler will be very nice.
I tried to explain to somebody recently how, oh, I know, I have a new friend and she's sporty. She plays golf and she's an athlete and she runs and she is constantly apparently sustaining an injury from some activity or other. And I had to really work hard to explain how little I care about sports. And it occurs to me that there's almost nobody who cares about sports less than I do, unless they're
True.
in hospice and saying goodbye to the world. And even then, there are people who are like, bury me in a Chicago Cubs themed coffin. I don't know
It's
how to
it's
explain it
very
to people.
actually I do have friends that don't like sports.
No,
And I'll get bored halfway through the season if they've never won a game. I'll be bored, but I'll still wear my jerseys on game days.
it's one thing not to like sports because that's an attitude. It's another thing, I'm convinced, just not to have them register on my radar screen at all in any way, shape, or form.
And I don't see how you can do that with your spousal unit, who's quite the sportsman, unless
He's
you've beaten that out of him.
no, I put the TV. The TV's not in the living room. It's in a TV watching room, and I just don't go in there when there's sports on. Just don't go in there.
I'm backing
Don't
up to the
go.
county fair.
Don't go into the room. You can
I,
hear them yelling.
we will start diligently watching our teams. Frankie's a Bear fan. I'm a Lion fan. And then both of our teams basically tend to not be so good. Like the Lions, I don't think have been in a playoff since 1950 something.
I'm more
And-
interested in like the chin hairs of a random woman on the bus. That will occupy my thoughts way longer.
Once our teams get on their losing streaks,
You're like that
we-
too?
then we get on the motorcycle
Oh,
and start doing stuff on
I
Sundays.
see.
It's like you can only have your heart broken so many times.
Yeah, I don't even, there's no connection. I'm more interested in what kind of strange lint is in the filter of my standing on the floor air conditioner than I am.
Well, here I have one more favorite thing to say. This fair is like so county. That's all I can say about it. It's the countiest of county fairs.
Do they have crop
And
art?
The have what?
Crop art?
Crop?
The Crop Art Pavilion is where you can see a full portrait of Ronald Reagan made entirely out of dried lentils and lima beans.
Oh, I don't know. The entertainment, which is why one of the reasons we went at the time that we did, was called the Hot Red Chili Peppers. And they're supposed to be, as you can tell.
A tribute band.
Here's my question for you. What's the difference between a tribute band and a cover band?
Oh, I have no idea. I guess I haven't been to county fairs often enough to.
I mean, well, I always thought that a tribute band sounds like the original band, where a cover band is just a band that sings somebody's song.
That sounds right. And you're the rock writer. You would know better than I.
Well, I don't usually attend tribute / cover band stuff.
But how were
this
the Hot
crowd-
Red Chili Peppers?
Well, I mean, they sang all their songs and they played their instruments just fine. But all these people were like, you would think that it was the real Red Hot Chili Peppers. There was like a mosh pit. There were people on their feet yelling and screaming for this guy that looked nothing like any of the Chili Peppers, by the way. It was just really, really bizarre.
It does sound odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I guess
Okay.
we'll know we've really made it when there's like a she what said podcast.
Yeah, tribute.
A tribute podcast. That's what we need.
Yes.
We need the tribute podcast.
Yeah, don't give my kids any ideas.
Assuming you've come this far because you enjoy the podcast, may we recommend my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air. It's available at your neighborhood bookstore or on Amazon. And if you're feeling especially generous, please leave the podcast a good review. Thanks.